Hey guys, welcome back to the Fellow Gent. Today I am going to do my first talking with elders, okay? And hold on a second. Yep, it's good. Okay. So I mentioned this in a previous video that I would have my friend Dan Harvey with me as the first episode, but unfortunately he is no longer here. On Monday they found him in his house. He had passed away. He had no living relatives that I knew of. He was divorced twice. He had no children or anything of that nature, okay? But I want to do this in memory of him. So wherever you are, Dan, hopefully you can see this. And I do your story justice. It's going to be very hard for me. So if I do start to get a little bit on the emotional side, I apologize. But I just want to say his story and keep his memory alive. Like I said, I want him to be the first person, and I even talked to him about it last time I saw him. So Dan Harvey, I met him at Fink Cigars in Midtown, Broadway Street. Okay, he was a Vietnam veteran. He was raised in Austin. Okay, after that, after being in Vietnam, he went to Germany, if I remember correctly. I don't remember what base he was stationed at, but then he returned to Austin. If I remember correctly, he was a reservist. He owned several businesses. One of the businesses he owned, restaurant, bar, I don't remember what they were called, but I do know they existed. He was married twice, as I mentioned before. He took being a veteran very seriously, and he advocated for that very, very heavily, and he had lots of opinions about that, and which I won't get into here because some of them are political, and I don't do all political stuff on this channel. So that is extremely important because he was an Austinite to the end. I mean, he would tell me he used to go to the games at UT when he was a kid. I think it's called Maynard Road, if I remember correctly. He would go. He's a great guy. He told me he owned a used car business in Austin. Okay, this is where it starts to get very interesting. And his partner, allegedly, I don't know for sure, but allegedly, according to Dan, stole $50,000 from him, okay? When that happened, he lost everything, according to him. He lost his livelihood, he lost his purpose, he lost everything. This happened in the 90s, if I remember correctly, according to him. All right, so with that being said, he was homeless for 4 or 5 years, okay? He was a homeless man. He had absolutely nothing. And what got him back is he found his way through faith, which, once again, I'm not going to get into in this thing, but he found it through faith. He got a voucher from the VA. He started doing housing. He started doing the work that they give you. I know they don't pay. I don't remember what it is. He told me about it. It's a program they have to get yourself back on your feet. And he did. And from that program, he opened up his own business. He was able to get his VA benefits, which he didn't even know how to apply for at the time, but he was able to get them. And as I mentioned before, he opened a restaurant. And then when he had free time, if I remember correctly, or he had sold his business, one or the other, oh man, sorry, like I said, it's hard for me right now. This is very fresh in my mind. So he went from being homeless to giving back to the community of veterans that were homeless. He was very active in that, and if I remember correctly, he brought in his suitcase one day, showed me his boot camp picture, and I was teasing him about, I didn't even recognize him. I told him, if I saw you walking down the street, there's no way I'd recognize you, and he just started laughing at me. And then in 2000 or 2001, he had a business plan that he had wrote for the city of San Antonio, how to help the homeless. And they took parts of his plan, and he was extremely upset about it. Allegedly, according to him, and I don't know if this is true, but allegedly, they take the money from the federal government to deal with the homeless problem. But he said if there are more homeless, they get more money, so there's no incentive for them to do better. That's according to him. That's allegedly. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's according to what he told me. So I'm not here to debate that, but that's what he said. And he did lots of fundraising for the VA. He had articles written about him. He had them saved, um, and he had fluid fill into his lung. Okay, and after that, he had a medical scare. This is in the early mid 2000s, if I remember correctly. And after that, after he recovered from that, they stuck the needle in his lung and extracted all the fluid out of him. And from then on, he basically was retired, and that's when he started smoking cigars. And that's how I met him. I met him 10, 15 years later. If I remember correctly, he was one of the first customers at Fink's in Midtown. He didn't like another local shop that we had here in town because he felt like they disrespected him. I won't go into that, nor will I mention the name of the cigar place, but they know exactly who they are, and this is allegedly. So he went from being homeless. He went from having basically everything as far as money and all that stuff, business, and he told me that he lost everything, as I mentioned before. But when he passed away, he basically owned everything. He had a Corvette, he had a Camaro, he had a Hummer that he loved. He loved that Hummer. It was an H3 or an H2, I don't remember exactly. He loved that thing. And he had a Jeep, he had a boat. He actually invited me and my wife out a couple times to have dinner with him, and we did go eat with him. And I remember him getting in the Hummer. He's actually the old San Francisco Steakhouse. We had a meeting there, and he showed us around what it used to be like back in the day, this, that, and the other. It was very unique, and my wife really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it myself as well. He had a heart made of gold, and he was a great human being. And like I said, I had other plans for this, but he used to always tell me, give yourself a purpose, give yourself something to do, and always be happy. You know, that's a choice. It's not something you can do, it's a choice. And he's right. Being happy is a choice. Many things can happen to you, but if you choose to wither and woe is me, it's going to be a lot harder life. And he always told me, just be happy and be grateful that you're here. And I am, and I do remember him also telling me he was married twice. As I mentioned before, the first wife, I don't want to get into that. I'm not sure exactly what happened. He never explicitly told me, but his second wife, allegedly, once again, this is allegedly, according to him, she tried to attack him with a knife and tried to stab him, and when the police were called on him, she admitted to it in front of the police, so she was escorted away, and he was able to go about his life freely and divorce her, obviously. I don't know what came with that, but like I said, this is allegedly, that's according to him. He always told me he didn't have a good selection of women as far as what he would pick, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, he was a great man. Anyone that knows him, anyone at Fink San Antonio, he would always be there every single day from 3 to 6 o'clock. And the last 2 weeks he wasn't there, and I didn't know why he wasn't there. He told me before last time I saw him, he told me he was going to Mexico. And I said, okay, you're going to Mexico, that's fine. And he was having problems with his Jeep, so I figured one of the times he must have been dealing with his Jeep, and the other time he must have been in Mexico. And then when I went to ask last Monday, which would have been on August here, the first week of August here, they told me on Facebook that it was posted, and I hadn't looked at Facebook in a while. And they told me what happened. Obviously, they said that he's no longer with us. I guess other people were asking about him in the Kirby Police Department. Shout out to the Kirby Police Department. They made a courtesy call and they found him. They found him there. And I'm so sad because he didn't, like I said, he don't have any next to kin they could find. He don't have any family or anything, but he had a lot of us because he was a great man, and I think he would have given you a shirt off his back, even if it had holes in it, which they normally did. He would have given you the shirt off his back. Anything he had, he would have tried to help you, and I know that for a fact. Oh, I'm going to miss you, Dan, and hopefully you guys took something away from this. Like I said, I wanted to deal with him, obviously alive, but that option is no longer available, unfortunately. Matter of fact, him and I were planning on going to the Chicken and Pickle here in San Antonio. And when my wife came back, we were planning on going to Little Red Barn in San Antonio to celebrate and talk to him. And because all of our birthdays are in September, so. And he told me, if I remember correctly, he said, I'm almost as old as my dad or my grandfather. I can't remember which one. He said, I got one more to go. And unfortunately, he didn't make it. And that's really sad. I really enjoyed our conversations. And as I said, I like to smoke cigars. And I don't know if it had anything to do with it. And, you know, if it did, it did. But he went out happy. I know that for sure. He was always a happy man. But that just goes to show you, and I don't know anywhere else besides my fraternity, that you can come from all different kinds of walks of life and you sit down and enjoy a cigar and just talk to somebody you don't know. And I tell you what, that entire time that I spent with him, I spent many Wednesdays before I go to meetings sitting with him for hours talking to him about different things. And I can tell you that's made a great impression upon my mind, and I can never forget that. And that's just something that cigars will do to you. There's not much else in society now, these days, where you can sit down with someone. They can be from all different, like I said, all different kinds of walks of life. Rich, poor, job, retired, young, this, that, and the other. But you sit down inside of that lounge and you get to know these people and talk to them for hours. And you see them and you chat with them. How's your family? How's this? How's that? And they really develop into beautiful friendships. And man, I just, you know, on Wednesday, last Wednesday, I went in there. I got an Arturo Fuente, which is my favorite, and I went in there and I looked for him on the sofa, and he wasn't there. And that's when I went to the counter and I asked him. I said, "Have you heard from Dan Harvey? Because I haven't heard from him in a while, and I was going to call him and see if he was okay." He told me he was going to Mexico and he had problems with his Jeep, and that's when they told me what happened. And then I looked in there, and I don't know if you guys believe or whatever or anything of that nature, but a man that came from Austin, he lives in Austin, I'm not going to mention his name, but he comes down every couple months or so, but he was sitting in the chair, and me and Dan have had many conversations with that man. And it was like, it was just amazing. We just had an amazing conversation with this gentleman. I did, of memories of Dan and our conversations, and he was just amazed. And I just kept looking at that sofa where Dan used to sit at on the right side, and it just tore my heart out, man. It really hurt. Oh, but like I said, I want to do this under different circumstances, but I didn't really have a choice, unfortunately. Hopefully I can go to his funeral. I don't know right now. I'm looking. They said they would post it on their Facebook page, but this is my first episode of Talks with Elders. And Dan, wherever you are, I hope you're happy and I hope you're smiling, man. And y'all have a nice day, and please subscribe below.